webinar. And I also welcome Dr. B.R. Singh, the Director, ICAR-NIVEDI, for today's webinar. And I also welcome all my colleagues who are co-PAs in today's co-PAs for our NaaViC Center. Dr. Mudasar Chanda, Dr. Manjunath Reddy, Dr. Yogi Sharadya, and the entire NaaViC staff, Srikant, Kaushik, Karsha, and Akshata, and all of them I welcome, and all the supporting staff of KSTA who are all managing today's webinar. So I welcome all of you, and finally I welcome all the participants who registered actively, and they wanted to know more about the agribusiness and the entrepreneurship opportunities which are there. So it's a very huge response from the participant side from across different states of India. Definitely, NaaViC and KSTA, we welcome all the participants for today's webinar, and hope that we will have a good learning time from the Dr. Arinder Singh Ogara's vast experiences. So with this, and I would like to hand over to Kaushik to take on to the further step of introducing us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thanks a lot for the welcome address, sir. Now I request Dr. G.B. Manjunath Reddy, sir, who is the co-PI of NaaViC Agribusiness Incubation Center, to give the brief of today's speaker, sir. Please, sir.
Good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. Manjunath Reddy, scientist at ICAR-NIVEDI. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to introduce Dr. Arinder Singh Oberoi. To brief about sir's the achievements. Basically, he is an graduate from agriculture with a specialization in agricultural microbiology and with an industrial microbiology and food safety response. He's carried out a lot of work on that. And he did, after PhD, a postdoctoral stint with bioprocessing at Kansas State University. Regarding experience, he has more than almost 30 years of experience. He worked at different labs, private companies like NaaViC, then United Beverages, then Hindustan Liver Limited, and different levels like quality assurance, hygiene, and technical services. After that, he worked for Government of India in the name of ICAR, that is the Indian Council for Agriculture Research. He started his career at the National Institute for Post-Harvest Engineering and Technology, is situated at Ludhiana, followed by his being deputed to IIHR, that is the premier institute in India, which works on horticulture crops, which is located as a head. Just after completing this tenure here, he was again elevated in a higher level of advisor for Food Standards Authority of India from 2021. He is working with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. As in major areas, like he is having a lot of experience in the form of fermentation, then food processing and safety, health foods, then bioprocessing and biovalorization. He has handled more than 14 research projects, which were funded by ICAR, including NATP, NAIP, and more than 4 projects from the externals like DBT, that is Department of Technology. These were his credit, followed by which shows that he is having publications of more than 70 research articles in very good review or impact journals, which indicated by H index of more than 24 and I10, which is 44. Out of 70, 44 articles have been cited more than 10 times. He has published a lot of book chapters with the publishers like Elsevier, Springer. The technologies what Sir has developed, which is notable to know. Some of them, they include the development which are towards the horticulture crop, like mango, then pineapple beverage, pomegranate juice. He has developed some quite good technologies which are operatable with solar, like solar operated evaporatively cooled fruit and vegetable vending vans, like solar power tricycles, which is used for fresh fruits and vegetables, evaporatively cooled storage structures for fruits and vegetables. Then many of who are into the horticulture crops, they made that Arca is a brand from IIHR. Sir has contributed immensely on that, like development of Arca high humidity storage boxes. Then he has a team member for development of two processable tomato hybrids. Then technology like micro encapsulator, which is also been granted a patent. Sir has guided more than 5 PhD students and 10 master students. He had registered the one more patent, which is on process for preparation of alcoholic beverage with the natural properties from Kinnu beans. And he is presently applied one more patent on fermentation process for enhanced glucose production from sweet sorghum. Followed by, because of his so much work, definitely you can expect a lot of awards to be created for him. Like he is a fellow of National Academy of Pedagogical Sciences. Sir has got been selected for the Jayesh Kruti Award of AFSTI. Then he is also an awardee of International Norman Borlaug Fellowship for USDA. He has been also awarded by the DBT as a OC associate, and sir is an expert and member in many of the task force, which is headed by DBT and FUSSY. As he is highly qualified under his food microbiology, he has served at different levels, member secretary or is expert member, like many of the committees, like which is very prestigious committees in ICAR, like Institute Research Council or Research Advisory Committee. So with this, thank you very much, sir, for gracing our this one. Over to you, Kaushik, for taking forward.
So thank you very much, sir, for briefing the profile of Dr. Harinder Singh. Sir, sir, now I request Dr. Harinder Singh to take this session ahead, sir. Please, sir.
Well, good morning to everyone. Namaskar, namaskara. And most respected Dr. Ayappan, in case if he's around, and the other colleagues from ICAR-NIVEDI, Dr. Satish, Dr. Manjunath, Dr. Ramesh. Thanks, Kaushik, for having me in here. And thank you very much, Dr. Manjunath, for such a lavish introduction of mine. So without wasting much time, I think it's better like I get into the business, and we'll start by sharing my screen. Kaushik, I'm finding it a little difficult. Can you do it for me if it is possible? I'll just try one more time. There is.
Sir, just click on share screen.
Yeah, that's
Share.
yeah.
Okay, you might have seen, sir, there you can see the presentation tab, sir. The presentation might have opened there.
Can you see the presentation? I've opened it.
Okay, fine, sir. I am not able to see. If you are not able to, then I will share it from my end, sir.
One second. Let me try.
Yes. Just click on share, and then the presentation will be open there. You can just click on the presentation. So that's all.
Yeah. I think it should be there now. I think it's there.
It is just saying he is starting to share the
presentation
content. No, we are not able to see. Yeah, it is, sir. We are able to see the presentation now.
Right then. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, yes, sir. Please, sir. Please.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, Kaushik, and all from NaaViC and Karnataka State Science and Technology Center. So let me start with this. It's a very important area whenever we talk about the post-harvest management of crops, and that is something which is catching up these days. For the simple reason that we have achieved our targets as far as production is concerned, and in fact we're a little ahead of the targets too. And our farmers have been toiling very hard to get the right production strategies, following good agriculture practices, following the IDM, the integrated disease management, nutrient management, and they achieve that to a larger extent. But post-harvest sector is still one which I still feel it's at infancy in our country. We need to do a lot of work to bridge the gap between production and post-production. So I think there is some problem with.
So it was visible.
Yeah, 1 second. There it is. I'm not able to move my cursor. That's a problem.
Just click on the next this thing, sir, in keyboard.
That's what I'm doing, but
Kaushik, you take care of the presentation, otherwise sir will be.
there's some problem. If you can take over, that'll be better.
Okay, fine, sir. No problem, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I'm just taking over. Sir, hope you are able to see the screen.
Yeah, I'm able to see the screen. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Sorry for the technical glitch. Yeah, can we go to the next one, please?
Yeah.
See, India is blessed because India has diverse agroclimatic zones throughout the country. You know that we have a large variability of weather in the country. So that is good also in a way that we get a lot of crops in a year. And in case of vegetables, we in fact go for, we get 2 crops, sometimes we get 3 crops also, the same fruit or vegetable, also same vegetable, not fruit, of course. We have no dearth of sunshine. We are pretty rich with sunshine. And we have the second largest arable land in the world. So that is another good thing. So India is blessed with. And India, as I was telling you, it got large marketable surplus and abundant raw material for processing. So that means there's a gap between production and post-production. And then despite having a lot of abundant raw material. So this is the area which needs to be bridged in. And the other is availability of technically skilled manpower. We do have technically skilled manpower to a larger extent. But then yes, we need to keep upgrading our skills and technical knowledge as and when the time goes. So with this, we are like on song to go to the next level. That is a post-harvest production level, post-harvest processing level. Next, please.
Sorry.
Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir, please.
Next one. Now, India, I mean, I don't want to bug you with all this data, which all of you must be knowing before this also. We are the largest producer, second largest producer of rice and wheat, and we are leading producer of millets in the world. Second largest producer of fruits and vegetables, and largest producer of fruits like mango, banana, papaya, guava also doing pretty well. We are the largest producer and consumer of pulses in the world. Still, we have to import some pulses. So India comfortably plays as far as production is concerned. That is what I told you earlier. But the problem in post-harvest sector is we don't have proper infrastructure, especially we don't have the on-farm structure, processing and storage structure, which is a major impediment block. Very low levels of processing, poor connect with the markets. Because even in fact, if you're able to process, if you're not able to sell it, then all the efforts, all the energy, money, infrastructure which has been used, which has got subsumed into it, goes waste. Digital resources not being mapped and not being utilized to the extent they should be. Government support also is coming up slowly, but it is not all the adequate which is required in the post production center. And most of the people feel that agriculture, it is more to do with farming and all. It's although there are in South India, I see a lot of prospects, a lot of young entrepreneurs who actually have IT background are willing to invest in agriculture, horticulture, post processing, post production to in production as well. But in other places, we don't see much of interest, just because agriculture is thought as it's something which is very crude down to ground. It is you touch the soil and your hands get soiled. So that is kind of attitude. I mean, or that is something because uh, IT is one area where everybody wants to get into it because it's rewarding, and you don't have to really make huge investments. You get a lot out of it. But so I feel that this threat or this weakness, whatever you call it, let's convert into strength or opportunity. So I think EDP in post-production sector in the country is is the way forward. So we have to have focus, because agriculture and horticulture or any of the crop sciences, there's a lot of science involved in it. It is not that we go with simple production and we just get a crop and we process it and we get some product out of it. This is not, I mean, then we're talking about a very peripheral knowledge. There's a lot of science which goes into each aspect of production, each aspect of processing. Next, please. Next slide, please. Entrepreneurs, what they need is an idea. An idea can change your life. Yes. It's an idea. Unless you have an idea, you can never become an entrepreneur. You have to be very fixed. You have to be very strong in the ideas, whichever you can see, whichever you envisage that this could be redeemed, this could be fulfilled. Think about an idea which is novel, where not a lot of work has been done, and try to move forward with that approach. Once you build up an idea that you think that this is the right idea, I can work on this, then what is the SOP, standard operating procedure, or what is the methodology I have to follow to achieve my goals, which I put down in my idea. You need to have adequate technical know-how. Until unless you are well equipped with technical knowledge, it will be very difficult for you to move on, because you will fail and then again you have to fall back on somebody, some institute, some university, some academia, though despite having technical people with you. Finances is something which obviously without finance, nothing moves. Money makes the mayor go. And the market. You have to do a lot of marketing studies. You have to plan your marketing strategies in a way where you're going to look at position your product, where you have to do a market survey, test marketing. Everything has to be done before you really get into the processing business. You also need to have an exit plan, because the startups, I've seen many of the startups sitting down just because they don't have an exit plan. They invest a lot of money, they invest a lot of their time, energy, and and when they feel so very crestfallen when they're not able to get anything out of the venture they started. And so, what is the exit plan? What if this plan fails? Do you have a plan B? So that whatever infrastructure, whatever resources you've created, they can be utilized for achieving the targets of plan B. So this is something we've got to be very clear about. I'm not a management guru or who can give you a lecture on entrepreneurship development or the elements of entrepreneurship, but this is a basic thing which I've found being interacting with a lot of entrepreneurs and being in task force of various BIRAC committees. I feel that most of the times the entrepreneurs who come in or who propose their projects don't have the alternate plans. So that is one thing we really think about. The alternate plan has to be very close to your plan A, so that in case if you have thought about it, if you already established marketing channels, if you have a processing plant in place, if you have already zeroed down to the raw material suppliers, machinery suppliers, and all that, so you don't have to really waste your time and money in putting up a new plant or getting into working on the new modalities for our new business. Next, please. Startup to stand up requires innovations. And I feel the startups who get into this area, they're all youngsters, and they are in fact better scientists than us. We specialize in specific areas, and then we just spend our life doing research in a particular area. Whereas these startups, they're very pragmatic people. We as scientists, we are more concerned about academia, what has been done and what are the research gaps and what we can do further in that same area, and with more focus on basic research, which of course we have to. But then startups are more practical because they want returns, they want whatever the knowledge, whatever time, whatever investment they made, they want returns out of it very fast. And also, so you have to be very, very innovative. You have to be with the world, you have to be watching what the world is doing, what is the kind of research which has been done in India, what is the kind of research which has been done in the world in that particular area, so then catch up and think about joining hands with research institutes or academic institutes, universities, state agriculture universities, and then see, target a particular scientist there who's working there and see if you can tap that particular person, tie up with them and his team, tie up with the team, be a part of the group and see if both of you can work together. Because it is a time when we have to work in collaboration. Don't get into crowded space. When I say crowded space, let's not follow the mad race. If somebody has already done something and if you feel there are 10, 15 players already into it, let's not get into it, because it's already place is crowded and you may not be able to make the worth, like, not be able to get what you have already thought about. So it's always good to start something which is novel or where there is very less competition. A lot of people have not thought about it. You need to have a risk-bearing ability. You cannot be like us, like the government servants who get paid on the 30th or 31st every month. You have the future in your hand, and maybe there'll be times when you don't get anything in 6 months, and then all of a sudden 1 month you get your 12-month salary. So they're like, but you have to take that risk. You have to take you have to bear the brunt of not paying your employees in time, and not even paying your utility and other bills in time. So you'll have to really be you have to be strong and capable of bearing that kind of risk. Market forces. Market is like a pull and push type. There are market forces which determine everything in this country, and everything what an entrepreneur knows that in business, it's all taka. The quality of product still in India is not given that kind of due importance as the cost is. Even the educated class, when they go into the market, go to the marketplace, go to the malls, go to the shopping centers or retail markets, or the superstores, we look at the cost first. Okay, if we get something which is 10 rupees cheaper per kg, would like to go for it. Just look at the expiry date, the FSS's license, we go for it. So cost is one thing which you have to be very, very competitive about. You have to do a lot of branding. You have to position your brand in a way that that this product can go into the niche market. So position it there. This product can go into the only small retailers. I mean, you follow that path. If you feel that this product can be only for a very, very small retailers, follow that thing. So you have to do brand positioning in a way that you are able to cater to the needs of the market, and see to it that you're competitive in that particular segment. Collaboration is something which I've always believed in. If you are not collaborative in nature, if you're not able to find collaboration, then I think it's not good to start any business. But they say that ek akela thak jayega. So you have to have, it's like, you have to build collaboration. You have to look at the synergies. You have to look at the competencies. See that you have a group of 4 or 5. I know it's tough because sometimes once business starts and the partners, depending on their intentions and objectives, they start fizzing out of the business. But then, yeah, you have to have some kind of protection there. And collaboration is like, if the business fails, then it's not the individual who's failing, it's a team which is failing. And if the business it flourishes, you all gain out of it. So it's all win-win or lose-lose kind of a thing. So it's always better to go for collaboration. As I said earlier, we need to have plan B in place. Next, please. Now coming to the technical part of it, I think when you talk about the food grains, we are sufficiently placed as well as production is concerned. But then when it comes to post-harvest, there are a lot of issues, especially with grains. Even in rice, if you see, especially in South India and the coastal belts like Bhubaneswar, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, a lot of paddy is getting wasted. The paddy is getting, because of the fungal infestation, there are a lot of molds which come in the form of mycotoxin that And we need the pre-drying systems. So entrepreneurs can think about having small pre-drying systems which can be operated in the field itself. I'm not talking only, I'll just give an example of paddy. That doesn't mean paddy. It can be much beyond paddy also. Paddy is just an example because this is one crop which is grown in the largest acreage, plus that the production levels are also significantly high. The consumption are also higher as well. Now, having said this, so if you can design something which can bring down the moisture content, say, of paddy from 18 to 20 degrees to about 13 to 40% to about 13 to 14% or 15%, then it goes to the second stage of processing. So that you're able to save that paddy for at least a few more days. That is something, the niche area which we need to really work on. And in fact, ICR and SAUs have worked quite a bit on it, but we haven't really met with a lot of success, to be honest to you. So if somebody can design, in fact, I was thinking, if somebody can have a tractor and then there's a trailer behind that, just like a combine harvester, and in the trailer you put a hot air which blows through the recirculation mode, and the paddy is getting dried while the material is getting transported to the mandis. It's just an example I'm giving. So, or you can have on-farm plus these kind of systems can be integrated. We also need to have alternative polymeric material processing machinery. We see this, the iron which is being used, the stainless steel is pretty expensive. So most of the times initial processing is done by using material which is of cast iron, and there's a lot of friction because there's a lot of wear and tear. If you can think about something which is more product like polyurethane, of course there is some research going on in TA, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, and some other centers of equip and PhD where they're looking at it. But if an entrepreneur can design some fiber material which can, or a polyurethane or mixture of some composite material, which can be used in these machines, the rollers, which are being used to crush the food grains to make powder out of it, or further processing to dehusk any grains, that will be really of a big use. Then the bulk handling system. Of course, this has to be done in a bigger way. It has to be a big industry like Adani's and all who started with the silo operations in Punjab, Haryana, other places. But what is still needed is that we had funded one project under BioRack to one company called Bhapra Biosolutions. Though this is not to do with the silos, but that's a startup which came up from a scientist who's collaborated with an industry in Panipat. The scientist is a retired scientist from IACT in Hyderabad. He's collaborated with industry in Panipat, and they've designed bags. Those are basically polythene bags wherein they are able to sandwich delta methrin into it. And then made nanoparticles of it, sandwiched with that, and delta methrin slowly released into the food grains. So food grains are not coming in direct contact with any chemical because this is sort of fumigation, and those bags can be reused. Otherwise, fumigating the bag material, whether it's wheat or rice, in a go down is an uphill task. Every 3 months you have to do it. You have to cover the go downs, and then there's chances of there's a moisture build-up, and then there is a chance that there's a direct contact of chemical with this. In this case, there is nothing of this sort happening. So they've ensured, they've done a lot of trials. Now they're doing trials with Indian Grain Management Research Institute in FCA go downs. So this becomes a reality, and the cost of the bags, they're recyclable bags, will come down. So this is an innovation I'm talking about. Secondly, there's an Argentinian method you can see in the slide. This one, the other slide, where they have made these bags, which is made up of again a polymeric material, and these bags can be stored at the farm level itself. You have the grains, you fill those bags, and then they are rodent proof, they're insect proof, and they are temporary, they resist rains. There are no issues with the weather anomalies. Also, they're able to resist that. So there are a couple of companies who have started these kind of experiments in India. Madhya Pradesh is one state government, which has in fact introduced this in a couple of villages. The only thing is it requires little land, but there's another good system to store the food grains rather than just wasting them in the open or not able to, because cover and plinth system which is being used for open storage also is not really successful because there are a lot of problems, especially with the bird and rodent damage. So this is one system which is good, and some entrepreneurs can think about even refining those structures, study these bags and see if they can be refined. In fact, small bags can also be made. Small bags which can be say polyethylene along with polypropylene, and then you sandwich some kind of a biological material inside that is for deltamethrin. Prepare small bags of 10, 15 kg, 20 kgs. They can be stored at the household level for a couple of years. So something of this really is needed in this country because there's a lot of wastage of food grains during storage too. Next, please. Next slide, please. Pulse processing is another area where the recovery is only about 70%, and we have about 10% hull and then 10% powder, and then damaged grains, and we're not able to. So if we can reconstitute the dal, see there is. I'll come to that slide also. If from the brokens, because brokens don't fetch a lot of price to the processor. So if the processed material, the brokens can be taken, extruded in the shape of a dal, and you're not adding anything externally to it. So there is no adulteration, there is no contamination. A simple way is to go into the refabricate the particular dal and reduce that wastage. That could be a big thing because India is still importing a lot of pulses. So somebody who is into this business, who have thought process going on to do something, the pulse processing, can think about it as a viable proposition in the near future. Plus, reusing that hull. What are the husk which you get, especially in pigeon pea arar dal, which has been largely processed, or the chana dal? There's a lot of hull which comes out of it. If you can just powder it and make product out of it, because that is very rich in polyphenolics, that still has some amount of protein into it, protein with it. So something which is nutritious, not as a standalone product. Maybe it can go as an ingredient to some product which enhances the net protein value and the protein efficiency ratio also of that particular product. You can do amino acid profiling. So this could be another area which could be thought about as an area for entrepreneurship development. Next, please. Fortified rice kernels. Now, Government of India is planning to make it mandatory for all the rice which is being supplied to the public distribution system, to the midday meal scheme or the ICDA scheme or other schemes of Government of India, that they should be supplying the fortified rice only. Maybe this will kickstart somewhere in 2022 middle or 2023 beginning. So that a lot of preparation has to be done. Already there are companies who have started going into it. What is needed here is whenever we get rice, so the rice has to be crushed into small powder, and that powder has to be supplemented with vitamin B12, vitamin B8, that is folic acid, and iron. So these three, one mineral, that is iron, plus vitamins, two vitamins, vitamin B12 and folic acid, they are incorporated into the way in a way in the powder. They are totally miscible. They totally mix up in the rice powder, and then rice powder is extruded. And that extruded rice, it is as good as the normal rice. It takes the shape of the rice, and then that is mixed with the normal rice, and then you have a fortified rice ready with you. But it's not easy, easier said than done. It's a big process. There are a lot of technical challenges we are facing at the FSSA level also, because we have to find fixed standards for that. We have to fix a sampling procedure, which we're finding very difficult. We are working with the Department of Food and Public Distribution, working with FCA to see how we can achieve that thing. But then this is a big scope. If somebody can get into this area of fortifying rice kernel and then mix it with rice, or even you can go for fortification of rice as it is. So if anybody is doing fortified rice, and we'll get a plus F logo, so that gives a competitive advantage. You would see that Ashirwad Atta with plus F logo sells at a much higher price than the normal Ashirwad Atta. Similarly, if you have a double fortified salt, which has been fortified with the iodine as well as iron, that fetches you a better, that fetches the processor a better price. And now we are trying, it's an endeavor to see that milk and oil also fortified with vitamin A and D, which are fat soluble vitamins. So in that case also we are looking at something which can be done. And the entrepreneurs can think about these things. You don't need to go into oil processing. You can be an ancillary to that industry. You can say, okay, I'll get this much of oil, I'll fortify and give it back to you. You can mix it so that you achieve the minimum standard which are laid on by FSSA. Maybe you give a clearance limit of about 10%, so that even if there's a loss, it's not that huge. So these things can be thought about. So that will be a low capital intensive industry. You don't have to go for the entire capex. You can join hands with already existing big industries and say, look, we have this plan for you. If you are ready, let's work together and get into it. And then you can go for whatever profit sharing and all those things. Next, please. Another thing is the groundnut. See, now this is something again which is becoming a big thing here. Peanut butter, peanut dahi, peanut milk. So this also gives a huge opportunity. In fact, at CIFIT, my previous institute, they put up one complete peanut processing plant. They found they got protein isolate also from it, and then which has about 95% protein, protein concentrate, and a lot of products are made from groundnut. And groundnut is very pretty nutritious, and you can see that there is a huge amount of scope in venturing into the groundnut processing industry also. If there are people from Gujarat and Andhra, they can always think about having a lot of products, and I can connect them to CIFIT, to my colleague who can guide them how to set up an processing plant, even at a smaller level. And this big hit. He has already given to about 11 entrepreneurs, and I think 2 or 3 of them already they ventured into it in the operation. Next, please. Next slide, please. Now coming to the fruits and vegetables, which has been my domain area. This is a little old figure, but then I just want to tell you that the gap is, look at the last line sentence, which is only 2 to 3%. Even after we were saying 2% 10 years back, and today also we're saying 2 to 3%. So because, and it might have increased to 4% or 5% also, but since we don't have the figures, we cannot say with assurance that it's gone up to the level which we are talking about. But then it's increased, but there's a lot of unorganized sector. If you see, as per the Ministry of Food Processing Industries, there are 25 lakh processing units which are not registered, which are unregistered totally. And there are only about 48 to 50,000 units which are registered and which are known as the food processing industry, industrial units of talking about. So, but that's the reason why there's a lot of wastage. Although CIFIT study concluded that there's only about 4.5 to 15.8% losses in fruits and vegetables, but then much higher losses have been reported by many other agencies, including SFAC. One study was done by MIT, which said it's about 30%, some said it's about 40%. Even the processing, and a lot of estimates which are much beyond than the estimates which are brought out by CIFIT. Next, please. Next slide, please. I'm talking about the supply chain in the next slide, which means that how the supply chain in our country. I think we're stuck up here. Kaushik, can you move the slide, please?
Yes, sir. It is in supply chain management only, sir.
Okay, I was not able to see that. Sorry. So, in case if you look at the supply chain, how it works in our country is, you have a farmer who grows a product, produce the fruits and vegetable. It goes to the aggregator, which is also known as an agent. Then it goes to the auctioning. Then it goes to wholesaler. From there, it's sub-wholesaler. Then from the sub-wholesaler, it goes to the cart retailers, retail vendors, and it comes to the. So there's a big supply chain in the country which is still largely operational. And since whenever you have more players in any supply chain, the losses are likely to be more. So when you have more losses, obviously these losses get accumulated over a period of time. At each stage, you find there are few losses, but by the time the fruit or the vegetable reaches the consumer, the losses are immense. And so there is something which you need to do here. Next, please. I'm just giving an example of how the e-commerce companies or the new the retail chains work. This is an old slide I have. In fact, Big Basket has grown much beyond that. The business now is much more than 750 crores in fruits and vegetable. I think it's about nothing less than about 2,000 crores, 1,500 crores only from fruits and vegetables. They have about 30 collection centers. This was about 3 years back. And they procure 70% directly from farmers. 30% is what they procure from growers and other way cool and other supply chain management companies. And they have an inventory-led supply chain. What they do is they procure the material from farmers or FPOs. They have a collection center where they do the weighment and and just wait, and maybe just packed in the bulk packages sent to the distribution center. And their collection center, not only for Big Basket, for Aditya Birla, for Big Bazaar, more, all these companies, they are located in the villages only. They're located at the strategic point of the production centers. So they collect it, send it to the distribution centers, or in Birla calls it as the stock keeping unit, wherein they do mild processing. In the sense, they will just clean it or grade it, depending on what is, or package it in individual packages, and then through e-commerce, it goes to customers' doorstep. In case of Aditya Birla and Big Bazaar, it goes through their retail stores. So this is the supply chain. Look, they have narrowed down the supply chain in a way where the losses have drastically come down. In fact, Reliance says their losses have come down to about 3 to 4%, in certain 3 to 8%, following this kind of supply chain. So our entrepreneurs can always think about using mobile apps to the best of their advantage, and see that the grower himself becomes a businessman. The farmer himself, he has a cloud system on a mobile app, gets customers right there and says that I'm going to supply it right to your. Many people, many guys in Bangalore, many entrepreneurs in Bangalore have started this venture. Hyderabad also, Chennai too, where I've seen. In fact, in Delhi also we have few of them, where they straight away, like whatever is produced, straight away goes to the consumer. So there is no middleman, and they have the small spokes. Hubs are very small, and the spokes are a little larger in number. The spokes from the hub, they go to the spokes, and the spoke is rightly delivered to the consumer. So the losses are very less, and they get a good price for it. And the consumer also feels very good because he's getting fresh produce right from the farm. So things are happening. I think this is one area where the entrepreneurs can think about how best they can make use of the technology. Next, please. This is a supply chain of fruits and vegetables in Thailand. I touched upon Thailand because Thailand also has similar agroclimatic zones, and they have similar weather as we have in India. But very smartly they have worked on. In fact, Thailand is one of the largest processors. They process about 60 to 70% of fruits and vegetables. And they never had much impetus. They never laid much impetus on fresh fruits and vegetables. But now, again, they have made a very organized system. So if Indian entrepreneurs can also, get into this kind of a system or follow the system, it'll be of some help to them. Next, please. This is something we need to do. We need to have on-farm size and color as well as weight graders. Size graders are available. Many research institutes, universities have brought them out. In fact, IHR also done a lot of work. We had given the design to many entrepreneurs who have done large scale. They've given it back to the government of Karnataka, government of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, State Agriculture University, and the entrepreneurs. And there's one company called Zantron Labs, and there's another one in Hubli, who have designed these color-based graders too. Because if you have color-based sorters, what it does is it sorts out the fruits or the vegetables which are of common color into one lot and grades the other ones different lots. As a result, you get differential pricing for different material. And otherwise it's just a mixed thing. Suppose if you're getting 80 rupees a kg, you'll be getting only 50 rupees a kg just because you've not sorted them out. So you can develop then these graders. Somebody can who has expertise in electronics can think about developing these graders, because they are in huge demand, and the supply is very less, because there are very few startups who started venturing into this kind of thing. Second thing is the weight-based graders. We have size-based graders in the country, but we don't have weight-based graders. If you look at the color capsicum, which is exported in large quantities from Karnataka, in fact, Bangalore is the largest exporter of color capsicum into the world. The color capsicum from Chikbalapur, Dodbalapur region, and the other parts of Karnataka, it's getting collected at Bangalore International Airport, and every day their consignments are flowing down to Singapore, Middle East, Hong Kong, and many other countries. Now, in fact, they've started going to Europe as well. So there is a huge scope, and I think it's a need of an art to develop these kind of graders. If you can have integrated grader which can do size, weight, and as well as color, of course, it will be a challenge. But you can tie up with institutions like International Institute of Information Technology located in Hyderabad, Bangalore, IITs, and submit a proposal to BIREC under SIBRI scheme, get some funds, get started up, take about 1 year, develop this prototype, scale it up, launch it in the market. It is doable. Where there's a will, there's a way. So you can really think about these things. But the caution is, you have to work in harmony, you have to work in collaboration, and whomsoever you work with, please make sure that the scientist or his team is equally active and they have this hunger for developing something with you. They're not only purely academic in nature. Next, please. Next slide, please. Another thing is edible coatings. If we can develop under FSSAI, we have permitted carnauba wax or bee wax or the lac for coating. But there's a huge scope of developing edible coatings. And if you can have edible coatings which have a blend of vitamins and minerals, you can always promote that. That because a person can directly, I'm not talking about waxing here, I'm talking about coatings. So you don't have to remove the coat, you can directly eat along with the coat. So if you have a, say, carrot or a beetroot or English cucumber or zucchini, gherkins, broccoli, you just coat them with edible material, which is purely tested. It has no allergens, has no toxins. It's purely from the organic source, and can just be applied to fruits, vegetables, and those can be eaten raw, so that the fresh the fruits go into the person's the human digestive tract, as well as some of the vitamins, which are, because we lose a lot of vitamins when the fruits and vegetables are processed. So if you're able to preserve that, nothing like that. This is one area where research or where entrepreneurs can think of collaborating among themselves or with the other partners or with research and academia organization and develop some kind of coatings which are novel. Next, please. On-farm storage structure. I think this is the need of an hour when you talk about fruits, vegetables. So the structures can be developed on-farm, which could be of 2 ton, 5 ton, 10 ton, depending on the capacity which is needed. We can have community storage structure. They can be done on the evaporative cold storage system, wherein you have the brick wall structure. In between, you have sand, and then there is a drip line, and the water percolates through sand. And there's evaporative cooling through which the air is pushed up, which is cooler in nature, which cools the entire surface, brings out the temperature, increases the humidity. And we have seen that we could increase the humidity by about 30 to 40%, reduce the temperature to about 6 to 8 degrees. And as a result, we could store fruits and vegetables, extend the shelf life about from 2 to 7 days, depending on fruits and vegetables. So the farmers don't really have to go for a distress sale. If you can construct this, the farmers, if somebody can come out with this idea of constructing the structures the farmers field, and then they say, go for a profit sharing, fine. I'm giving you this much, you give me something out of it. Every kg of tomato which you sell, which I have saved, which otherwise would have gone waste for you, you give me, say, 10 paisa or whatever. Similarly, you can go for even the solar power-based structures too. And of course, if we can have a pre-cooling structure which are based on solar power along with the cold stores, nothing like that. Or you can have a hybrid kind of a system. You can have evaporative cold store along with the refrigerated cold store, so that wherever, because we have to be very careful when storing fruits and vegetables. Vegetables have a lower temperature requirement for storage, whereas fruits require a little higher temperature. You cannot find the chilling injury to them. You can't store carrots above 10 degrees because again you'll find that rotting if the sun sets in first. Secondly, you can't store green leafy vegetables along with the climatic fruits because green leafy vegetables turn yellow and black because the ethylene which is being generated. So you may need to have compartments. You can talk. You can get in touch with the Horticulture Research Institute in a country like IIHR, UHS Bagalkot, or the university in Andhra Pradesh or Solar, and see that you can design those compartments and then see based on the temperature and humidity requirement, your system is set in the way that the fruits and vegetables can be stored at the farm and they can be sold whenever the demand is high, getting you the right remuneration. Next, please. This is a novel venture when we came into at IIHR also we developed one solar power based fruit and vegetable vending van which can carry about 250 kgs of fruits and vegetables. Here it's not refrigerated. Let's not make any mistake. It's not refrigerated. It's based on evaporative cooling, What we have done is we have put 4 panels at the top. There are solar panels which generate about 600 watt of electricity. We can convert this into DC into AC through inverter, and then the whole misting system is operational inside that, and we can phase it down. We can, like, what we have done is we spray it for depending on the respiration rate of fruits, vegetables. So a lot of work was done. We switched the system. It was automatically switched on for 10 seconds when the mist is blown through that, and then there are shower curtains. And anybody who's in Karnataka or nearby can just go to the institute and have a look at it. And we have given this 24 such vans to government of Karnataka. There are about 11 of them with government of Haryana. There's one with Kerala, and there's a lot of demand which is generating. We've got 6 manufacturers who start manufacturing these vans. So they are puff panels which are able to control that humidity inside. As a result, it's a very clean system of selling, and this structure is totally made up of stainless steel. So there's no dripping down of any droplets of rotten iron into any of the fruits, vegetables. And we have seen that consumers are ready to pay even ₹1, ₹2, ₹5 per kg higher for these kind of well stored the fruits, vegetables. So you can use them as storage for retail vending, as well as short distance transportation also. Suppose the Hopcoms in Mysore is doing a wonderful job. This van was given to them about 2 years back, and every day in and day out, a person goes to the market, Hopcoms Mysore, picks up fruits, vegetables. He goes to one place only. He just stands there, sells off everything. By 3 o'clock, gets back. He's ready for the next one, and he says he's able to make about 20 to 25,000 rupees a month, just because of this venture. This is excluding all the cost, the fuel cost and the other operational cost. The other van which you see is a plug, is based on the phase change material, which is again it was done by Waycool, which is another big supply chain management company based out of Chennai. And there they have introduced a system of both evaporative cooling as well as refrigerated cooling, where they transport the material to long distances using this kind of indigenously built fruits and vegetable vending transport system. So this is something an entrepreneur can think about, of supply chain, wherein you just don't have to do much. You can purchase this vans from the authorized van manufacturers or IHR, and do this kind of vending in smaller towns, cities, and see that you get something better remuneration out of it. Next, please. Yeah, this is what I always thought about, because there is, in India, we grow fruits and vegetables in one area and they're being supplied to a distant area. For example, tomatoes from Kolar and Chintamani are being supplied to Punjab, Bangladesh, Delhi, especially during the monsoon season. The price, we don't have any crop in North India, so whatever we get, it's from South India only. So if we can have a digital system wherein we have a mobile app through which we can see that what is not only the GPS tracking, but we can also get to know what is the temperature inside the vehicle, what's the humidity inside the vehicle, is my fruit fresh, or what is the loss in weight, having a lot of sensors attached to it. There is this a proposal which I had presented. In fact, it could not see the light of the day, but again, I feel that has got work potential. It has got a lot of potential in it. This system can be designed so, in case if you feel that the produce cannot reach Delhi, because it takes about 7 days from produce from Kolar to reach Delhi or Kolkata, then you can always shift it to, say, a nearby market in Hyderabad or Nagpur on the way, rather than taking the rotten fruits, which would rot the other fruits also, all the way to Delhi or Punjab or Kolkata or any other place. So this is, we can think about. A lot of IT companies have come into, and they're very active in agriculture these days. So this can be thought about one of the options for entrepreneurs. Develop this kind of mobile apps, develop this kind of system, and install them, using RFID. They can develop RFID tags, install integrated sensors, install them in these kind of trucks or lorries. Next, please. Packaging is one area where a lot of innovations are needed in the country, a lot of innovations taking place, but what we need is intelligent packaging. You can see this, the red and the yellow one. See, this is if you have mushrooms or cabbage or cauliflower packed as individual fruit or individual vegetable into a pack, and there's a sticker attached to it, and the moment there's a change in the color, the consumer would say that it's rotten. So this is called intelligent packaging, wherein the consumer gets, where you connect with the consumer. So this kind of packaging has to be developed in the country. And if you can have an edible packaging, or you can have biodegradable plastics, because in India still biodegradable plastics packaging material is being developed to the best of my knowledge only by 1 or 2 companies. So there's a huge scope of getting in touch with these companies and give them some technical know-how if you can. You can develop a small installation thing and tell them, look, we are not, we are just startup entrepreneurs, but we have analyzed that this film which we have developed with collaboration with, say, a plastic engineering institute in the country, or with any other engineering institute, any other technological institute or IIT, works very well. We have done this research, and since we don't have the infrastructure, we need your support to upscale it. And in case, if you want value in it, because that's you export it, and then you can do the large scale manufacturing with for us, and then we can promote this for product packaging, which can be for the in-house for the country, as well as for exports, the export of fruits and vegetables. So, a joint marketing, a joint venture can help. You don't have to set up an entire plastic manufacturing factory. It's beyond, I would say, the reach of an entrepreneur, maybe beyond the purview also of an entrepreneur, or even the setup entrepreneur. It's better to tie up with these secondary processing units or secondary packaging units, and do something which will be of use to you. Next, please. This is something which we did in the IHR. These are fresh cut vegetables. We've given this technology to 3, 4, 5 entrepreneurs. We're doing well with it. This is nothing like what we did was, you have to have this. It's been done for 9 vegetables, which include the coriander, capsicum, radish, carrot, garlic, beans, coriander, so onions also, and you just have to pre-treat it with some organic compound. We're not using any of the inorganic chemicals. We're not using any disinfectant. We are not using any preservatives. And we could see that with simple pre-treatment and with packaging, we could extend the shelf life about 6 to 22 days. Of course, it requires refrigerated storage based on the vegetable. Otherwise, if you just cut cucumber out and put it in a plate and put it in refrigerator, in 6 hours or 8 hours, it gets soggy. Coriander turns yellow within 3 days. Whereas we could take coriander to about 14 days using this technology. So this day, one entrepreneur, a small entrepreneur in Belgaum in Karnataka, and another one in Bangalore. Now we have another one I've just come from Kerala. So they've taken this technology, and he started with about 50 kgs. Now he's doing half a ton, and he's even from Belgaum, he's supplying it to Bangalore too. And he's planning to open one center in Bangalore, because he says the demand is increasing and I'm not able to cater for Belgaum. So this is what I'm trying to tell you is, like, there are small things which can make a big difference in the life of an entrepreneur or a startup, and this is where the way to go. Next, please. There's another good technology from IHR, which is, I'm talking about IHR because that's my parent institute. And since those technologies are good, they have the potential. That's the reason why I'm stressing more on that. This is for the raw mango preservation. A lot of raw mangoes, especially during, before they mature, they fall on the ground, and they find no value for it, which are to be used for pickling. And so this is a technology which we developed way back with MTR in the year somewhere in 2000. They had scaled it up for us. And there are about 6, 7 companies, startup companies, who have taken this. It's a simple syrup, which has 7 organic compounds in it. And we have complete machinery, which has an IHR, which has been developed for cutting, slicing, cubing. So you can get that machinery from an authorized manufacturer, get these mangoes, use the syrup, and you can store these mangoes for a year, year and a half, without any loss in flavor, color, texture of this mango. So the raw mangoes can be used for making chutneys or making achar. There's a huge demand in Maharashtra, because Maharashtra also exports a lot of achar pickles. So they need, so we have startups from Karnataka and Maharashtra and even Andhra who have ventured into this business, who are supplying it to various big pickle manufacturers, including Swastik. Next, please. This is one system. This is not from IHR, but this I feel, when you see, drying is something which is of paramount importance now in the scenario. Entrepreneurship development in drying is the way to go. Heat pump drying systems have been developed. They're not very expensive. They are just opposite of refrigeration, wherein you're using ambient temperature drying. The temperature does not go beyond, say, you can control temperature to about 40 to 45 degrees. and you're passing the air which has very low humidity, and you're controlling the humidity in the air. And I'm happy to share with you, there's one farmer who's located in Pushkar in Rajasthan. He is doing the rose petal drying using this system. Every day, not every day, in every batch, he dries about 700 kgs of rose petals, and he gets about 200 kgs of water. It is called rose water, which is exporting, and about roughly about 60 kgs of dried rose petals out of it. He doesn't add anything to it. Simple drying in this kind of system. He's imported the system from China, but there are a lot of heat pump drying system manufacturers in Coimbatore. There are a few in Chennai. There are a couple of them in Bangalore. So they have now introduced this system. They have gone for a scale up. They can do about half a ton of fruits, vegetables using these. And the advantage here is, like, you can get two products in rows, as I said, but this has to be optimized for fruit, vegetable. But yes, obviously one product is always available. And the advantage is you're not using any sugar syrup. You're not using any preservative. It's a simple fruit slice which goes and which comes out. So you get an extra leverage of saying that, look, my product is free from all types of preservatives. It doesn't contain any added sugar. You can get it analyzed by any good lab, because once you are drying at lower temperature, the ambient temperature, you don't, in fact, the vitamins also, they get concentrated rather getting lost. So there could be concentration of minerals as well. So your product is basically much more healthier and nutritious. Next, please. Then there's a vacuum freeze dryer. See, I'm giving an example of South India largely because I have been in South India. I'm a graduate from I'm basically, you can call me a Karnataka Sardar. In fact, I don't mind being named that because and a lot of work is being done in South India, especially in the heat pump drying system, vacuum freeze drying and all that. Now there's a guy in Madurai who's using the vacuum freeze dryer. This is a freeze dryer which uses vacuum, and so that in low time you are able to dry fruits and vegetables. And this person is in fact exporting lots of vegetables, right? Like the fenugreek, methi, dhania, many chiku, guava slices. He's exporting it to Gulf and European countries using this system. So the cost of the system has come down because whenever you have more demand, obviously when the more number of units are getting sold, the company also tends to bring down the price. So this is another area. Here, it is even little better than vacuum the heat pump drying, because here the loss is very, very minimal. Because in case of like a heat pump drying, temperature sometimes goes up to about 45 to 50 degrees. In this case, there is no heat which is being given to the fruit or vegetable. They undergo a process of freeze drying, and drying is done at a very low temperature, and as a result, you get very good, excellent product, which has got excellent color. I've seen this color of vegetables which is exporting. Wonderful. So now the other entrepreneurs who have joined hands who are coming into buying freeze dryers now. Next, please. Another option is to go for solar tunnel dryer. Of course, here we have large tunnel dryers which can dry about 1 ton of moringa leaves or curry leaves, and a lot of moringa from Tamil Nadu, Tirunelveli area, it's being sold even from Karnataka. Is being what the importers in Germany and Netherlands want is not the powder, they want leaves. So moringa leaves are directly taken out of the stem. They are and then they're dried in these kind of systems, and they are just packed in bulk and flown down to these places where they make powder and make other concoctions and sell it in their own countries. So this is another area where entrepreneurs can think about using a low-cost technology. This may not be able to preserve all the nutrients, but this is good for the crops which have little medicinal value, as I said, like curry leaves, the mint leaves, the moringa. This system can also be improved. And now you have a phase change material also, because night you don't get sunshine in the night. So they have put IR heaters. So there's an energy which is conserved in a battery. So battery is used to operate those IR heaters in the night so that you don't have any moisture loss. And the drying time is also reduced. Because otherwise what happens is in the morning, during till afternoon until 4 o'clock, you got very good sunshine and you're able to maintain the temperature. But then during the evening, the condensation starts taking place, and you have droplets falling down, condensing onto the fruits, vegetables stored in the trays. As a result, there's a moisture condensation plus there's a fungal infestation. So we can avoid all these things using these kind of systems, which are the IR heaters, also the phase change material. Next, please. This is another intervention done by IFPT at Tanjavur, and this is a very small scale wherein you have to have a paste like material like tomato paste or mango paste. It just flows over a sheet which is made up of polyethylene or which has an infrared material in that. When during convection heating, it applies both convection and radiation. There is there's a layer form. So and that layer goes down to the final outload zone. You're able to dry the material faster. So within few hours, or in fact, it's an ongoing, sort of a continuous drying method. But this still is it's still at the researchable at the proof of concept stage only. I don't think it has gone beyond that. But this can also be thought of if people want to have a drying system which is very, very fast. It's not for, of course, it's not for the fresh fruit vegetable. First, the fruit vegetable has to be processed into liquid or a semi-viscous liquid, and then it has to be like as I said, tomato juice or tomato puree or any material which has some viscosity in it, and then it flows over it, and then you get a dried material. You can powder it later on and sell it. Next, please. Osmotic dehydration is another thing where IHR had worked a lot, wherein we are able to retain the texture and color of the flavor of the fruits and the vegetables. The only thing is we have to dip it in the sugar syrup. So whenever you do the osmosis in the sugar syrup, where there's a migration of concentrate products from lower concentration to higher concentration, the water moves out of it. But some amount of sugar also comes into it. Because as such, when you concentrate, then you're drying it, as the sugars get concentrated, and some of the sugars which have come from the syrup also get concentrated, the sugar content goes up. So a lot of people have reluctance or aversion towards consuming products which are high in sugar. Plus, we add little amount of preservatives also to have a longer shelf life. So this method is it's not getting all the prominence, though it's a very good method because you get a product which has a shelf life of about 6 months, and which is very similar, very close to the, you feel like you're eating like a fresh fruit or a vegetable, but then there are certain negative points about it also. Next, please. Next slide, please. Crushed tomato is another technology from IHR, wherein the peels and the seeds are crushed along with the fruit. Normally, whenever you make any puree or sauce or ketchup, you have to remove the peel and the seeds. You just get the juice, and the juice is concentrated into puree depending on the kind of bricks you want. Suppose you want tomato puree, it is about 9.5 to 10 degree bricks. If it is ketchup, it goes to about 25 to 28 degree bricks. If it's sauce, it goes to about 50 degree bricks. By way of which you are losing a lot of nutrients which are actually present in tomato. Tomato is very rich in lycopene because of its peel, and lycopene is a very stable pigment. Lycopene is one stable nutrient whose availability increases during processing. I think that's the only nutrient whose availability increases, though it might get disintegrated. Its concentration might go down during processing, but its availability increases. What is more concerning is availability. I eat 10 milligram of iron, not even 0.1 milligram is available to my body, so it doesn't make any sense to me. So this is so we have put this peel as seeds along with tomato. It's just been crushed, concentrated using the steam jacket kettle with scraper, and you package the product there, and you're good to go. It's a very low cost investment project, but it can fetch you good amount of remuneration if you're able to promote it and position it. It's very good for the HoReCa business, the hotels and the restaurants, where you can just give them in 5 kg or 10 kg drums and packs. Albeit you don't have to even pack it, and you can get their drums, clean them and put it in and give it back to them, and they can keep it in the cold store. You can use them whatever quantity they want. And they don't have to get into the business of cutting the tomatoes, chopping them, and putting in the for culinary purposes. So it can be sold in retail pouches. It can be sold to the HoReCa business. And there's a big company in Srinivaspura, in close to Bangalore, Sunset, which have taken this technology from us, and they're doing a lot of. They have a plant of 120 ton per day capacity for tomato paste, and they put about half a ton per day kind of capacity for this product. This is a very good replacement for tomato puree, in fact, because puree does not contain any seeds and peel, so it can be substituted. Next, please. This is about onion. So IHR has developed some onion varieties which are very good for processing also. And there's a huge demand for onion flakes, dried flakes, onion powder in the Gulf market. So if somebody can think about getting onions and simply just drying it, taking the juice out of it, and crushing it and giving a product, it has a huge potential. You can tie up with IHR, get those varieties. You can ask the farmers. They can ask them, the farmers who are growing this, get directly in contact with farmers, go into contract farming, get the produce from them, process it, and export it and go use in Indian market as well. So this is another commodity which, because top is something which has brought tears and cheers also. So it's time, like, you start thinking about onions also. And since southern India and places like Gujarat and now grow a lot of onions, I think it's time we can think about processing these. Next, please. So these are the dehydrated flakes. You can see a beautiful color has come out. All Arka varieties, as Kaushik earlier said, Arka is a brand name of IHR, like Pusa is for IARA. And Arka Yojit is a variety which was developed while I was at IHR. A wonderful variety with about 18% TSS and 20% dry matter, and a wonderful product. And you can see the color, which is at par with what is being exported by Jan Irrigation. Next, please. Next, please. Another thing is our mushrooms. Any of you who are in Karnataka, Bangalore, or close to Bangalore, or anywhere in the country, there's a beautiful mushroom production center put up at IIHR. You can go there, visit. You can understand how the spawn is produced. They give trainings also. There's a 3 days training for spawn production. There's a 5 days training for mushroom production. This is a beautiful business to venture into. You can sell fresh mushrooms. You can process the mushroom, especially the pleurotus or the lentotus or the calocite, which is the milky mushroom, and the oyster mushroom. They can easily process. There are issues with the button mushroom, but the other mushroom can be easily processed. So we did research. We produced Arka mushroom rasam mix, rasam or soup. It's the same connotation here. You can dry the mushrooms, make powder out of it. You can add that powder into. You can replace about 20% of dal. You can add powder into it. You can see the nutrient concentration, nutrient content there. Protein has gone up, carbohydrate has gone up, fat has come down, fiber has gone up, vitamins, all water soluble vitamins, the content has gone up. So this is a beautiful technology, very simple, and it can be easily taken up. Next, please. This is the rasam powder. Now what they've done is they made it, mixed it up with various other powders, chutney powder, like they made chutney powders using say moringa or groundnut. You make groundnut powder, moringa powder, add this, add some of the spices, culinary herbs, and make a beautiful chutney powder. So that's another thing which can be done, taken up with coconut. So you can have a variety of this. You can visit IHR and then you can get a lot of information about it. Next, please. This is one technology which we have developed, and we'd given. This is basically a fruit juices. So we had given it to a startup in Sirsi in Karnataka, and this person went to China, bought a machine, and started packing it. This what you see in the paperboard mechanism. So paperboard is only with the paperboard company, like Hector Beverages. That's the only company which is doing paperboard. It's a huge scope. Somebody can do it. Machines are not very expensive, and the technology is also not all that tough. It can be taken up for the startups. Next, please. This is something which has been developed by me, so very close to my heart. It's my technology. We have probiotic ice creams, but we don't have any probiotics in fruit juices. We don't have probiotic fruit juices available in the country. So we took up, I did work for about 4 years while I was at IIR. And the beauty of this probiotic is this fruit juices, which we have developed. I've developed mango, pomegranate, and pineapple. And the pomegranate pineapple technology has been done by a startup industry in Mysore. And the other companies have shown interest in the mango as well. So now this does not contain any added chemicals. It does not contain any added preservatives. In case of pomegranate, it doesn't even contain any added water and sugar. But the beauty is you have the probiotic organisms pitched into it, which help in phytase production, which help in release of vitamins into a system. They synthesize some of the vitamins. So if the vitamins are lost during the pasteurization process, some of the vitamins are built up because of this bacterial metabolism. And also they help in fighting infections, because once they line the gut through the microflora, the intestinal gut is lined up. So even if you have pathogens, you will not get that kind of infection because they'll be able to fight those pathogens too. And they help in digestion, of course. So since fruit juices are fiber, so that works like a symbiotic, a link between prebiotic and probiotic. So my team there, who's developing now
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Huh?
Your voice went off, sir, for some seconds.
Okay. What I'm saying, am I back now?
Yeah, you are, yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
So the probiotic fruit beverages are the thing for the future for the entrepreneurs. This will have a little more higher price because this has to go to the refrigerated cold chain, and this has to be put in cold store. And we're also, I have to, maybe 3 years or 5 years down the line, we'll also try to have the sachet, just like you have the Tang orange, the lemon flavor orange. We'll try to see that if we're able to develop these kind of sachet from these juices, so that transportation is we transport less of water and transport only the dry material. But that is
Sir, you are again not audible, sir. Harinder, sir. Harinder, sir. Sir. Sir, you are not audible again. Sir, you are not audible again, sir. Shigan, sir, are you able to hear?
No, give him
I
time.
can hear you, but Harinder sir is not audible.
No, give him time to set right. I'm sure that there is some problem.
Okay, sir,
just call him on his mobile and check out.
Okay, fine, sir, fine. Just calling.
hello.
Back, sir. You are not audible
I'm
for
sorry.
some time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's some technical glitch with my net system. I'm sorry about it.
Okay. Okay, hope you are back,
It's
sir. There is some disturbance from your voices. It is not clearly audible. There is some breakage, sir.
Okay. Let me see. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it is better, sir. It is better.
Okay. See, I was talking about this probiotic fruit beverages because I said that this is going to be the order of the day for the new entrepreneurs. It will really help in entrepreneurship building because there is a segment of society, in fact, large number of people who wish to have pure, fresh, healthy drinks, and they're ready to pay even a higher price for it. So this is something which is without any added color, flavor, added preservative, added chemicals, very natural in nature, along with the benefits of probiotics, plus with added vitamins, as well as the other factors I explained earlier, like helping in digestion, building immunity. This can be something which can be taken up in the near future. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, the other is the cold pressed juices. You must have been seeing the raw pressery juices which are available in the market. These raw pressery juices are basically the cold pressed juices. They are pressed. They are using the high hydrostatic pressure. And there's one company called Reckitt Beverages in Mumbai, in Chembur in Mumbai, who have done this. In fact, they wanted to tie up with me to see if these beverages can also be probioticated, but it couldn't move further for reasons beyond explanation. So these companies now their beverages though they're highly priced, and the shelf life is only about 21 to 30 days. They are selling at a higher price, but they're selling it like a hot cake now, and there are people who are buying it, and then that's increased the demand in the market. As a result, there are many other companies, indigenous companies, who have started coming into this business, and these machines are being purchased from China or US, and then there are some Indian manufacturers who are trying to build this image. Whereas the probiotic beverage have a shelf life of 3 months, some will have a shelf life of 4 months. So that gives a better leverage to entrepreneurs to think about these kind of enterprises. Next, please. And go for the fruit wines. There are technologies for grape wines readily available. There are varieties now also being developed by various institutes. IHR had developed wines from Sapota, Guava. So technology from them if somebody wants to enter into this kind of business. We have to talk to the state and see that the state allows it or not. The excise policies and the licensing domains and all those things. Next, please. 3D printing is something which is going to be the next thing, next new gen pressing technology. Here you can print your own foods. Like there's a restaurant in Italy which goes on complete 3D printing. So you just have to give an order on the system. The system develops the food, and the food is right on your table. So it has the nutrition, it has the ease, simplicity, plus you know what is being put into it without doing a lot of efforts. So it's a very simple. I think this technology, some institutes have started working on it, but slowly you'll have. But entrepreneurs can think about it. They can buy a printer, 3D printer, do some R&D at their own end, or tie up with some of the institutes who have done some work on it. To my mind, some IITs have taken some lead, but they're still far away from coming out with even proof of concept. But this can be something which can be thought of in the coming future. Next, please. This is how it is being done. You can see that the system has been ordered. Like you have given the command to the system, and the system is doing all the work. In fact, I was very happy. Once there's just like you have NaaViC and the incubation center, which is by name Makers Village. There's one guy who developed a small prototype, and he had put atta, flour, a little bit of oil and water into a machine. And then he said that there's a lady who's working, is working in a company. She goes out and she knows that she has got her old parents or in-laws at place, and they want hot chapatis. So what she does is, like, from office itself, she gives a command to the machine sitting there, let's start, and this much of atta, this much of water, this much of oil has to go into it, and the chapatis are ready. So the old in-laws or parents, 75 plus or 80 plus, they get hot chapatis whenever they want it. So this is the beauty, like, when you go for involving AI and IoT in food processing. Next, please. Next slide, please. Next, please. This is just about the waste generation. We generate a lot of waste whenever we process something, and because in India we process less, so the waste generation is also less. This is a figure, just the figure I want to give to you. This is the old one. Next, please. We can go to the next one fast. Next, I'm talking about. Hello. Yeah. Residue management in India is very poor. You can see this is just for information. Nothing much to talk about this. I don't want to show this picture also because it looks very pathetic. Next, please. This is a tomato processing residues. This is a tomato processing plant in one of the provinces in China. See, they process about 10 ton per hour, right? And they get a lot of, in fact, if you look at the total process, even if it is at the level of 3 to 4%, it's huge. So now this entire waste goes into another ancillary industry. Because I said, as I said, next slide, please. Tomato peel is rich in lycopene. We get lycopene out of it. We can just dry that peel and get lycopene, extract lycopene, dry lycopene. It serves as a precursor for carotenoids. It can go as a supplement to vitamins. And look at the residue, importance of residue. It has the tomato processing residue, largely seeds, have 24 to 25% oil, and which is again rich in the unsaturated omega-3 fatty acids, stearic acid, oleic acid, linoleic acid, 27 to 28% protein, which again has almost all the 20 essential amino acids, 13 to 14% fiber, and we're just wasting it. Because in tomato paste, because in India we produce a lot of tomato puree and tomato paste. We hardly have any plant producing crushed tomatoes. So all this is going as a waste. And I asked one of the companies, which is a very big company in Punjab, with the name Cremica, got the plants worth about 300 tons per day capacity. They were saying burden on them to dispose of this waste. They give it free of cost. In fact, they're ready to pay money for it to somebody to just take this waste and take it away. So this is the kind of scenarios. That's what I suggested them to put up an ancillary industry in their unit itself to find out. So they're very keen on doing this kind of work. If some entrepreneur can go tie up with them, tie up with some, with the Sunsip in Bangalore or Capricorn in Krishnagiri in Tamil Nadu or Nashik or Varun Agro in Nashik, they will be collaborate and take you on board. Next, please. We can also think about producing biogas and hydrogen from the horticulture residues. There's a simple mechanism available. This can be taken up with a project from Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. There is one institute in Kapurthala in Punjab known as Swaran Singh Institute for Natural New and Renewable Energy, which are doing some work, but not to that extent. You can tie up with them and think about going on your own. But this is another venture which I thought is of a big use to entrepreneurs in horticulture sector. Next, please. This is the two products which are made in my institute from seed. So they were jackfruit seed cookies and jackfruit seed powder chocolates. So chocolates were made using a ball of jackfruit seed and jackfruit seed powder, plus we had added a little bit of mushroom powder. And this is just like a ball which comes along with a chocolate covering. So this is very delicious. And a lot of entrepreneurs in Karnataka and Andhra have taken this technology. And the cookies also, so they were able to, we were able to reduce the fat content in chocolates by about substitute fat by about 30%. So that is a major thing which, and even in the biscuits also the fat content went down. So this is something we thought about, like from waste to wealth kind of an enterprise. Next, please. Thus, these fruit, the vegetable, somebody can pack the cauliflower curds and leave out the residues, the inflorescence in a dipper, and that can be dried, and we have hydroxide coming out of it, other high-value phenolic compounds that can also be an industry in itself. So you have two things: you are packing the cauliflower and selling it in the market, and then you have the inedible fluorescence which goes into value addition. Next, please. Next slide, please. Banana pseudostem, especially in the banana growing region, is being made into fiber, and this fiber can be used to make gunny bags, can be used to make saris, it can be used to make shirts, or any sort of material, just which you want. So pseudostem doesn't go as a waste. Now people are thinking of using the true stem for this kind of. So these are technologies which are available at the sister institute in ICR, which is located in Trichinopalli in Tamil Nadu. Or with other, even Navsari Agriculture University also have, in Gujarat also have technology for making wealth out of pseudostem of banana. Next, please. This is a product which came out, which we came out using the coconut coir through action of two microorganisms belonging to the same category. That is, there are two different species of, there were different strains of Aspergillus heteromorphus which are combined, and we could get arca fermented cocoa peat out of coconut coir. Then we successfully reduced the tannin content. It is not compost. Don't confuse it. It's just a cocoa peat which is being used to grow crops. And this technology has done wonders in Karnataka. A lot of companies have taken this technology, and a lot of farmers have started using this cocoa peat. Next, please. So this is another way. Yeah, this is a farmer who has got a very good crop using fermented cocoa peat, and Eklavya Nursery, which is in Bangalore. There are many nurseries who have taken this technology. They're using this in both open cultivation as well as in covered crop cultivation, and they're getting very high yields. They're very happy. In fact, the Bangalore Municipal Corporation is also, through the Agriculture Department of Agriculture, is also trying to promote this among the farmers. They have also taken in board this product as part of the Karnataka government schemes. So remaining can be converted into the compost and other residues, into organic fertilizers, vermicompost. So there is a huge scope for converting these horticulture residues into various other value-added products. Next, please. Of course, it's not with fruit, vegetables. I just thought that people have a lot of fascination towards flowers, and instead of then the fresh flowers have a very small shelf life. So in IHR, we developed a very small technology, very good, very handy technology for those who wish to dry flowers. You can dry carnation, you can dry chrysanthemum, you can dry roses, you can dry any flower, marigolds. And those dried flowers can be made into bouquets, they can be made into mementos, they can be made into bookmarks, cup coasters, anything. And there are about 5 or 6 small entrepreneurs who have taken this technology and started working. In fact, they have tied up with Big Basket and Amazon also to sell our products. And these dried flowers, they don't lose their sheen. They look like that even for a couple of years. So you can, you don't have to keep changing the flowers. You can just give this memento to someone who would remember you for years together. So this is another good technology I thought I'll just share with you. Next, please. This is my whole last slide. Just want to thank you for your patient hearing. I'm sorry for the technical glitch. I wanted to finish it within the allotted time. I think we've not exceeded that by a very large margin. I would just want to say that this is my own sentence which I created, which I normally put in the last slide is, horticulture waste is not a waste but wealth. We just need to change our outlook and mindset and reorient our thoughts scientifically to realize the potential of this wealth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now we will just quickly go through some certain questions if there are any. Several people have asked some questions. I'm just going through one by one. First question is from Mr. Ganeshan Purushottam. He has asked, who is certifying the fortified products? He is asking, sir.
Yeah. Scheme in FSSAI, we certify the FSSAI certifies the fortified products based on the standards which have been laid down under FSSR, that is Food Safety and Standard Regulation. If anybody has a fortified product and it's got all the data with him or her, they can put it for certification. There's a process of product approval. It has to go through that process, and then they can use the FSSAI for the product logo also.
Okay. And so second question is again from the same Ganeshan Purushottam. He's asking, what is the technology for fresh cut shelf life extension? He is asking, sir.
It's a very simple technology. It's, as I said, I cannot disclose the technology because this is again in the technology domain of ICAR, but it's a very low cost technology from IHR, wherein they've used 7 different organic compounds. It's a mixture of organic compounds which is being added in. You're talking about fresh cut, sorry. We have used growth hormones, which are again organic in nature, or we use calcium salts, or we use certain organic acids, and they have been used to extend the shelf life. And what we have done, integrated with packaging, so a little modified atmosphere is created, and then the shelf life is increased.
So Mr. Anil Kumar is asking, can we enhance the quality and quantity of the produce cultivated with different horticultural trees? Maybe he's asking about grafting, so you can just answer, sir.
Yeah, there are. See, this is obviously there. The intercultural operations always being done, and there's always a synergism which gets involved. You would have seen that whenever you have a root zone of a vegetable which is exuding material, and it goes integrates the root zone of the tree, and there are some nutrients which are being flown in from one crop to another. there is obviously a chance of improving that. And there are the other ways. Grafting is another technique. Grafting, you cannot improve the crop through intercultural operation. I think the question is about the intercultural operations. And there are, there definitely there are technologies for intercultural operations, like a lot of, fence growing is helping, plus a lot of vegetables, a lot of spices are being grown along with the fruit trees. You can go to any of the horticulture institutes, they can give you those technologies without any cost. It's part of their the package of practice.
Okay, sir. So one question from Lakshmi TS. Can you please share details of short-term courses available for food processing for UG students? She is asking, sir.
No, we don't have any short-term. Ministry of Food Processing Industries have started something, but not for UG students. I think it's mostly for the PG students or the entrepreneurs, the budding entrepreneurs.
Okay, sir. Fine, sir. Fine. So one more I have. Sir, one more question from Yamuna Valli. She is asking, sir, I have developed product using Moringa. We are producing Moringa chocolate in smaller scale. If we need FSSAI certification, is it possible? She is asking, sir.
See, for any product which goes into the market, has to have FSSAI certification. If you're not registered with FSSAI, please do it immediately. Otherwise, if a food safety officer catches a sample and it is you are caught selling the product without FSSAI license in open market, there are a lot of enforcements. So it has to be, whatever you're doing, if you're going for a nutritional claim, it has to be a certificate.
Okay. So one last final question from Dr. Mudassar Chandra. Question, it is related to food safety. Is there any certification process like FSSAI for farms producing horticulture crops for use of pesticides within the permissible limits?
That is not under the of we have standards for pesticide residues. We do not set standards for pesticide residues. In the sense, we do not set a package of practices for pesticide residues. So, and we have normally standards for the processed product, the final product. We don't really go into the domain of Ministry of Agriculture, because APIDA has these guidelines for exports, and Ministry of Agriculture has certain guidelines for use of pesticides. So we don't cross their domain, but there is a little bit of transgressing each other's boundaries. We have standards for pesticide residues, and if any product exceeds those pesticide residues, obviously we have a very thorough surveillance program as well as regulatory mechanisms for pesticide residues. But that is in the final product. In case of imports, we do it for the fresh produce also. In case of the Indian produce, we normally go for we start acting on it. But then the product has to, in case if the product is lifted by our food safety officer, it has to comply with the food safety regulations, which also include the pesticide residue limits, which have been set under FSSAI.
Okay. Thank you, sir. There are a few more questions which are there. I think I will ask them to send email to navic.rabi@gmail.com. We will answer all your queries from there, as we are running out of.
Kaushik, if there are a couple of questions, we can take in 5 minutes and finish it off.
Okay, fine, sir. Okay, fine, sir. Okay. Sir, Shivkumar is asking, what will be the minimum investment, approximate investment for probiotic beverages?
Probiotic, it all depends on what scale you're putting up a plant, and because it requires, in case you want to go for a daily production, because the culture takes about 48 to 72 hours. If you wish to put a daily, if you wish to have, say, suppose half a ton of juices, probiotic juices every day, which I would think be commercially feasible, the machinery investment would be somewhere in the range of about 75 to 80 lakh, including now, I'm not including the building, but including all other lab equipments also. You need to have a lab for it. Plus the processing part, it will be around approximately about 80 lakh.
Okay. Sir, Mr. Srirang is asking, are there any proven Indian technology for onion storage for 6 to 9 months?
Proven Indian technologies, yes, there are some technologies, and you can connect with one institute in Rajguru Nagar in Pune called Directorate of Onion and Garlic Research, which is again part of ICAR. They have developed one technology wherein you can store onions for about 6 months. So you can please get in touch with the director. His name is Dr. Major Singh. They can write a mail to him and he'll get back to, or he'll actually connect them to the right sign.
Okay. So, okay. Dr. Mukesh, Dr. Mukesh Srivastava is asking which drying method for flower drying, sir? You shown one slide, no, sir, for flower
Yeah,
drying.
it is simple. It is a very simple silica gel based drying. So it doesn't cause any harm to the flowers. But the only thing is, one has to be a little skillful. So whichever technology which IHR gives, it is the training part is integrated with it. They don't charge it any money separately for that. It's part of the technology package. So you have to stay at institute for about 2 to 3 days, learn all those techniques yourself. You have to go there and they'll teach you everything. And when you do it by yourself, when you're perfect, when you say that now it's time for me, I can get started, you can go and be on your own.
So how long that flower can be stored, sir?
It can be stored for more than 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Excellent answer. Sir, and one question from Mr.
Virendra Patil sir's questions, can you please?
Just a second, sir. Going. Sir, Mr. Virendra Patel is asking, you briefly touched upon drying of food grains. Could you please elaborate on need and if anything is happening in the things of storage of drying of food grains, he's asking, sir.
Yeah, there is one university in Bapatla in Angrao, it is called Acharya NG Ranga University. They have developed an on-farm dryer. They have shown some good results. So he can go to the Bapatla center, understand the system of drying there, a mechanism, and see what the lacunas in that particular system, or it has to be scaled up or scaled down, and add something of his own inputs or with the help of some engineering scientists. Even he can touch base with them and have an improved version of that dryer.
Okay. Sir, and Mukta Agarwal is asking, can we use horticulture waste for nano fertilizer production? And if yes, how she is asking, sir?
You definitely can, and use any can be used in nano form. Research has to be done into it because horticulture waste first have to be dried down, and you have to need a very finer grinding, and then nano encapsulation. I really don't know, but then yes, they can be used. But then yes, somebody has to take up this project. It has to go in a project form, and it has to be researched upon. Because the only way I can about is the nano encapsulation of those residues, especially with which have potential for biomolecules. Suppose there's a residue which is very rich in lycopene. There's a residue which is very rich in hydroxystamic acid, or shikimic acid, or any other antioxidant, any other potent antioxidant, which it could be even carotenoids. So you can nano encapsulate those carotenoids and use them in food material so that the release is very slow, and plus they don't get degraded totally during processing.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thanks, sir. Thanks for answering all the queries. It was very elaborate, and I hope all the participants have understood from these answers. And I now request Dr. B.R. Shom, sir, who is the director of ICAR-NIVEDI Bengaluru, to give the closing remarks, sir. So please.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. To start with, Dr. Raviraj, I must profusely thank you for accepting this one, delivering a beautiful these things. To tell you frankly, almost 90% of information that you have given was not known to me at all. For example, these things in rasam powder can also be, nutritive relatively increased. Some traditional brand we bring and these things. What I mean to say that I'm in ICR past 30 years. If I am not aware, what will be the general population's awareness? So I think there is a mass need for dissemination of this information. You have put these things, ideas and thoughts in a very simpler language that a common people can understand, and maybe he can work on this with experts and so on. Therefore, there is a need for dissemination of this information. There are many queries, this thing, and a request for sharing these slides. I would be extremely happy if you give permission to share these slides with them and add them.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I have no objection. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And agriculture, we have been talking, somebody, I have seen that care market, the type of, vegetable garbage that is dumped and wastage. How can it be made easier? Your last slide, your pet dialogue that you said these things, they are not waste, actually, they are well. Some of these, so many things we can do out of the almost, only by awareness and application of the so extremely important area. The whole on behalf of KSTA, ICAR-NIVEDI and NaaViC, I would really thank from core of the heart for accepting all these things. And wonderful to see your journey through all these things and now with FSSI, even though your route is still in ICAR. Extremely grateful and thankful to you for delivering the wonderful these things. It's not that from top to bottom I'm here. I've been seeing, and really my awareness has gone up. Though I'm in animal diseases, but I would say that there is extreme, so much of need for the people to know. Not only the production or the startups or those who are doing business, even consumers. We are not aware of these things, what is good, what is bad product, and so on and so forth, So thank you very much. This is all. I'm sure that the participants, to bring it to your notice, this is the third weekly webinar that our NaaViC is conducting with KSTA. I'm seeing last two 700 plus participants, and today it is 550 plus. So this is, I think, very good going. Thanks to Dr. Satish Shivachandra and team, and of course KSTA, Dr. Our it's all respected Ayappan sir and team, Ramesh sir. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Ravira. I hope very more interaction. And as an institute NIVEDI, I would say that long time it is in our brain, in our system, that there may be some effective collaboration, the sort of cooperation with FSSI, but somehow we are unable to make it. With your presence, I'm sure something good will come in near future. Thank you very much.
Well, in fact, my blood, in fact, since my DNA is from ICAR, obviously I would want to support ICAR the way I can do. And to be honest to you, Dr. Shom, we have supported CIFT.
Yeah.
We have given a lot of equipment to them. We have supported NRC Grapes. Both these institutions.
Even NDRI you have supported? NDRI you have supported?
NDRI, now NDRI also will be supporting in another way. In fact, I have written a letter to all it was sent by CEO to the DG of ICAR. We've gone to all the ICAR institutes to get NABL accreditation.
Yeah.
So all those institutes who have got NABL accreditation, we are trying to support them in one way or the other. So this is my initiative. SAUs have also come forward, and we are trying to see that most of the institutes of ICAR are part of. In fact, NIVEDI is a different institute because NIVEDI cannot, because it's not an institute which deals with processing.
Right.
It's not like NRCM or CAFT or CIFED or IVRA, because it's your core area mandate is altogether different. But then there are many veterinary animal science institutes, the universities like the Karnataka Agri Veterinary Animal Science University or the Tenmas. So they are trying to get into this FSSA loop, and we'd like to see that so long I'm there, if ICAR can be supported through any way, I would be more than willing to do that.
I feel one area, even though we're in animal diseases, there are a lot of animal products, and all microbiology related things are there. The food safety from the microbiological safety, there we can really come in. You just think of these things, I think, and a lot of us are interested in your dairy sector, So the milk and milk products, the whole scenario in India is still that it needs a lot of improvement. That way, I'll be still looking towards FSSI.
Yeah, we also want to see in case if NIVEDI can develop with some collaboration, develop a rapid detection kit. Now we have an Italian kit which can, now this is besides the seminar, I don't know whether other people are interested or not, but then it can detect 9 pathogens, which includes even the zoonotic pathogens.
Yeah.
Like we have this Shigella and Listeria, E. coli. So this is, if some system can be there in place, then we can develop such kind of kits which are rapid in nature. Through say 12 hours or 18 hours, we're able to in fact identify even if there is a single cell of Salmonella typhi in 25 grams. That would be really great. That is what we are looking at. So we are encouraging the indigenous companies to come forward. We have a RAFT committee which gives that approval. It goes through processes, and I'm happy to share with you. Till now we have given approval to 54 such kits. but they are actually accepting one which can detect 9 pathogens. Most of them, they are very organism specific, because they're go beyond, as a veterinarian, that it can either the antibody or the whole cell of the enzyme which has to be tapped. Now, so if somebody can, your institute or somebody can do, or you can promote entrepreneurs to do this kind of work, we can promote those kits.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the closing remarks. Now I request Mr. Shrikanta P. Patra, he's the business manager of NaaViC, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Kaushik. So I like to take the privilege to thank Oberoi sir for accepting our invitation in a very short span of time and giving us a scintillating memorial session today. I like to thank Team KSTA led by Ayappan sir, Dr. Ramesh sir, Umesh, and all staff of Team KSTA. I like to thank Team ICAR-NIVEDI led by Honorable Director Dr. Shom sir, PICO Satish sir, and co-PIs Mudasar sir, Manjunath sir, Yogi sir, and Avdesh sir. And I like to thank Team NaaViC for supporting us and giving us such a good session. And it won't be possible without the participants who have been very patient, kind, and attentive and cheerful in listening the session. I promise you we will be having much more cheerful, scintillating sessions, and many big things are in line. We will be delivering in a very short span of time. Kindly be in touch with us. Stay followed at NaaViC YouTube link, Facebook link, and LinkedIn. So be in touch with us, and many things are going to come. So we are going to drill down with subject wise, and we are going to touch every aspects of entrepreneurship in agriculture, and we will bring some great experts in these areas who will giving you very nice sessions, and we will develop some good product codes, and we will take some collaborative open innovation projects. So stay tuned and stay safe. Thank you.
I just have one thing, Dr. Shom, one small thing. I was thinking, like you have an incubation, IHR has an incubation center. There is a Bangalore incubation center. If you can all get together in promoting the technologies of different institutes and universities, not only ICR, but others also, which help entrepreneurs. Because as you rightly said, there's so much we talked about, and even our neighboring institute, NIVEDI, is only about not even 10 kilometers from IHR. So we are not even aware of our own technology, what is happening. IHR is not aware of what's happening with NIVEDI, or what is happening with NBIR. NBI is not aware of what is happening with our institute on NAN. So, no, they have incubation centers which are working in different areas. At least every incubation center has come out with, every institute has come out with some technologies.
Yeah.
So this can be clubbed together, and you can make a consortium of a brochure of the technologies developed by, say, the universities and institutes located in Bangalore and nearby regions, which can be of help to these people to begin with. You can go for pan-India also, just district-wise and state-wise pan-India. It's a big help to the entrepreneurs.
Definitely. It's an excellent idea. I'll take it up with these things, very soon. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Talk to the director and take it forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kaushik. Thank you, Dr. Shom. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.